Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Sabbath class, the 23rd of May 2026. Okay, what I'll be doing is I'll be revisiting my conversation on the suffering servant. Got a couple of golden nuggets I want to shine light on this topic. Okay, so you can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at. We also have a sister channel, Israel Wake Up. You can check out their videos. It's about 200 or so videos on that channel. Okay, it's the objective of that channel is to try to uplift the Hebrew women to get them to understand their roles and their position in Israel culture. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the 45 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. This channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay? Shalom and welcome to the channel and welcome to our Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer. We have songs we're going to read. Then we have some current events. We have some need to know information. Then our topic for discussion is they not like us, which is and they can't be human. So we're going to explore that conversation, and then we'll listen to it, and then we'll chop it out. Okay, and then like I said, my scripture reading to be shining the light on who the suffering servant is, and I got a couple golden nuggets, like I said. Then we'll pick a scripture, we'll read that scripture, then we'll talk about it, shine a light on it. Okay, then we'll close out. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in this last day. Oh Lord, we come before thee at this hour on the day that you have given us for your Shabbat and your rest, praising you and honoring you because of your position, both in heaven and upon the earth, the position in which Creator Yahweh have given unto thee. And through your spirit and counsel, oh Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who you are as our Savior and our Redeemer. Lord, I pray unto thee that you continue to let your light shine down upon us in spirit and in truth. And we love you and we seek you daily, oh Lord. There's none else besides thee to redeem us. Okay, you are our Redeemer. We see you in the affairs of the world and we faithfully await your deliverance. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, I'll read a song right quick. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalm 37. True state of the wicked is the Psalm of David. And fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as a green herb. Trust in the Lord, do good, so shall thou dwell in the land, and verily shall thou be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord. Wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. And yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow, to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of an upright conversation. The sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. A little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume, in the smoke shall they consume away. The wicked borrow and pay it not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful, and he lendeth. His seed is blessed. Depart from evil, and do good, and do well forevermore. For the Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. The wicked watcheth the righteous, seeketh to slay him. The Lord will not leave him in his hands, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord, keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. And yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in a time of trouble, and the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. So if you haven't figured it out yet, Psalm 37 is my uh, alma mater, right? So you notice right here that he says uh, in 35, he says, I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. And he says, yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. And yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. So he says, mark that perfect man, behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. And then when you go up, you can see where verse 32 says, and we saw this, we see this every day in our conversations about Esau and Jacob, and what they've done to us as a people, how they hitting our identity. 32 says, they watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him. So what we know about the West Coast, they've been watching us ever since we left Israel and went on the West Coast. So who is it that was watching us? Esau, the Edomite. He's been watching us all this time. And all the atrocities and everything that's coming upon us, the more the Lord of hosts is using him to do. Let me read that again. The wicked watcheth the righteous, seeketh to slay him. Then it says 33, the Lord will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. So we already know what the end result is. Yeah, they watching us. Yeah, they pulled off all kind of atrocities against us. But he tells us in the end, he gonna do something with them. And we in the process of seeing that happening right now. Okay. Any feedback on that?
Shalom, bro. Leonard. I got a question, sir, about verse 29, and
Okay.
where it says, "The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever." Um,
Right.
so that's different than Christianity, right? Where they say, that we going to heaven and gonna dwell in heaven forever.
Exactly. It's about the earth and what this is what we was created. This is our domain. And notice how he says that the righteous gonna live forever, right?
Right.
So what are you talking about? Well, you gonna resurrect them. Ezekiel 37. Is that something?
Right. Exactly. Yes, sir. And then where you said in Mark, when Mark the perfect man is
Right,
in verse 39 and 40 is
right,
kind of like Daniel 12 and 1, alluding kind of to that is saying he is their strength in the time of trouble, talking
right.
about the Lord of hosts.
Exactly. And Mark the perfect man to will take you right to Ezekiel 9 and 9.
Oh, okay, with the inkhorn.
Right.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
through the city and mark every man that sigh and cry for Jerusalem.
Okay. Right.
And that's something?
Okay. Right. Right.
Exact same thing gonna happen. Oh yeah.
Yeah, change not.
And that's something?
Right.
Oh yeah. You got anything else?
And no, sir. That was all.
Okay, we're gonna go to our current events. I don't know if anybody know about this, but the heat been turned up a little bit. Here we go.
Breaking news. The U.S. Senate has acquitted former President Donald Trump on the impeachment charge of inciting last month's deadly siege at the Capitol and siding with the mob that attacked the heart of American democracy in his name. The verdict, 57-43, short of the two-thirds majority needed to convict. 7 Republicans sided with all Democrats and 2 independents to vote guilty.
Hey everyone, welcome. William is here. Here's what just happened, guys. In this imagined scene, the Senate gavel comes down 68-32. 10 Republicans, including Collins, Murkowski, and Hawley, crossing the aisle. The two-thirds threshold everyone called impossible cleared, and Trump declared unfit to serve effective immediately. In that single moment, the entire architecture of American political power rearranges itself. After everything that came before, after all the court battles and the tariff wars and the contempt warrants and the survivor testimony and the cabinet resignations, it all comes down to this one parliamentary action. One vote, one gavel strike, one constitutional mechanism that has never been used successfully in the history of the Republic, finally being activated in the most dramatic fashion imaginable.
Correspondent Chris Van Cleve followed it all, including some surprises, and joins us from Capitol Hill. Chris?
Adriana, the former president, is claiming victory tonight, saying in a statement his impeachment was just another phase of the greatest witch hunt in our country's history. But this vote, while unsuccessful, was the most bipartisan vote to convict an impeached president in U.S. history.
And somewhere in the White House residence, Donald Trump is watching the coverage on a television screen completely alone, except for a handful of remaining aides, and he is staring in stunned silence as the reality of what has just happened crashes over him.
The insurrection at the Capitol and President Trump's role in inciting it has led to consideration of something unprecedented in modern history, invoking the 25th Amendment to declare the president unfit and thus remove him from office.
His presidency is gone, just gone, taken from him not by voters, not by term limits, and not by the slow grinding machinery of the justice system, but by the swift constitutional blade of the 25th Amendment, wielded by his own party.
J.B. Pritzker tonight is calling for President Trump to be removed, asking for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. It is in response to President Trump telling military leaders earlier today that, quote, dangerous cities like Chicago should be used as a training ground for the military. Our political reporter Marianne Ahern with the story.
This is the scenario that every political analyst and every talking head and every constitutional scholar insisted could never actually happen. They all said the same thing with absolute confidence. You cannot remove a sitting president through the 25th Amendment. The bar is simply too high. You need 2/3 of the Senate, 67 votes.
What would be involved if the 25th Amendment were to be successfully invoked? For this to actually happen, there would have to be a majority of those senior advisors, those cabinet officials who go to the vice president and say, we collectively believe that the president should not remain in office. The vice president would have to agree to that. The president can object, and if he objects, then Congress has to weigh in, and a 2/3 majority in the House and the Senate would have to be on board with doing so.
A super reads the witness transcripts. She examines the documents. She consults with her own legal advisors about her own potential exposure. And she reaches the conclusion that staying loyal to this president means risking her own law license, her own reputation, and potentially her own freedom. Order is resilient enough to handle even the most extreme stress tests. That recognition actually enhances American soft power in the long run because it demonstrates that the country has the capacity to self-correct. Trump watches all of this unfold from the White House residence, and the silence from his corner is deafening. For 9 hours after the Senate vote, there is nothing. No posts on his social media platform, no statements released through surrogates, no phone calls to friendly media figures, just silence. The man who has dominated the national conversation for years with an endless stream of commentary and attack and self-promotion has been rendered speechless by the reality that his own party, his own senators, the people he helped elect and elevate, have voted to end his presidency when he
Okay, what you think?
Shalom, brother. Yes, sir. I think like this is where like you said, it turned up. I think this is where the Civil War gets incited from, because he's not gonna get impeached until, till the big dogs release him. And it seems like the other side, is actually tired of him. You know what I'm saying? The white folks. Yeah, I see Civil War.
Oh yeah, it's Civil War. They setting it up. They're setting it up. Yeah, exactly. Let's check this out. It's kind of related, but yeah, see, we'll check out the conversation. We got a bad storm.
I almost returned.
We got a bad storm down here, so it go out. Is it?
And thanks to you at home for joining us this hour. Really happy to have you here. So first they got rid of Gregory Bovino, the little guy who lives in a shoe, who was inexplicably promoted well beyond his job title to lead Donald Trump's chaotic, violent, trigger-happy, inept paramilitary invasions of multiple U.S. cities. They got rid of him. Then they got rid of Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Also, technically, they also got rid, at the same time, they got rid of the guy who didn't formally work for the Department of Homeland Security, but nevertheless, he was there every day and at all of her events, sitting or standing right next to her. And he was definitely not her boyfriend, because she is super happily married. Then, of course, we immediately got some quite unexpected news about that aforementioned marriage. And then we got the multi-million-dollar luxury private jet that she and her not boyfriend procured with taxpayer funds for what they said would be high-profile deportations. The private jet with the bar and the queen-size bed. Then we learned that the Homeland Security Department would not be keeping that jet after all. The White House instead would be taking it, and now it was going to be used by other cabinet members and also, for some reason, by Melania Trump. Investigations into the not boyfriend of Kristi Noem demanding payments from companies with Homeland Security contracts reportedly continue. The not boyfriend, of course, denies all wrongdoing. But then they got rid of the Attorney General. She only barely made it a year. In that time, she did reduce the U.S. Department of Justice to a smoking hulk. But apparently she was just getting started when they got rid of her. She had just moved into some general's house. Because the true mark of making it in the upper echelons of this administration is that you're allowed to essentially loot from the US military. You're allowed to just take over military housing for yourself because, hey, some of it's quite nice. But right after she got moved into some general's house, Attorney General Pam Bondi was out. Then they got rid of the director of ICE, following reports that he had to be hospitalized not once but twice since taking the job because of stress. Plus another incident in which his security detail reportedly retrieved a portable defibrillator from a nearby office because he was freaking out so hard they were sure they were going to have to shock him. Last week, the head of ICE, Todd Lyons, found himself unable to answer basic questions from Democratic Congresswoman Lauren Underwood of Illinois as she pressed him on why so many people have been dying in ICE custody. He could not answer her basic questions about those deaths, even basic questions about why those deaths weren't being investigated. And then as soon as that, I'm sure, very stressful hearing was over, we learned that he's out too. He has resigned and he will be gone next month. Well, now today, another one down. The Secretary of Labor is out. And where do you want to start with this one? In January, the New York Post was first to report on a complaint about Trump's labor secretary that had been made to the department's inspector general. And I got to tell you, the New York Post has since done a ton of groundbreaking reporting on this scandal at Trump's Labor Department. But because it's the New York Post, and I'm going to show you some of their reporting, I feel like I just have to mention at the outset that they do decide to decorate much of their reporting on this scandal with photos of Trump's labor secretary in a bikini. Like, I mean, not every article, but a lot of their articles about this just randomly have pictures of her in a bikini. And that's just kind of the business model over there. But the reporting is what it is. Trump's labor secretary, Lori Chavez DeRemer, faced allegations of drinking in the office during the workday and of taking staff members to strip clubs and of taking personal trips at taxpayer expense. She was accused of pursuing a sexual relationship with a member of her security detail. That member of her security detail was then put on leave. Then he resigned. Then her chief of staff was forced out. Then her deputy chief of staff was forced out. Then her director of advance was forced out. Then we learned that her husband, hey, there's a husband, he was banned from going inside the Labor Department's headquarters building. That ban on him entering the building came after two Labor Department staff members accused him, the secretary's husband, of sexually assaulting them at the Labor Department headquarters building. The husband denies wrongdoing, but then the hits just kept coming. Last week, the New York Times was first to report on Trump's labor secretary allegedly sending text messages to her employees during the workday, telling them to bring her wine. The Times says it has reviewed the messages and that they're part of an inspection waking him because he was seemingly intoxicated, according to information supplied to Justice Department and White House officials. A request for breaching equipment, normally used by SWAT and hostage rescue teams to quickly gain entry into buildings, was made last year because Director Kash Patel had been unreachable behind locked doors, according to multiple people familiar with the request. Some of Patel's colleagues at the FBI worry his personal behavior has become a threat to public safety. FBI officials and others in the administration have privately questioned whether alcohol played a role, for example, in the multiple instances in which Patel has shared inaccurate information with the public about active law enforcement investigations, including following the murder of Charlie Kirk. The Atlantic says its reporter spoke with more than 24 sources for this story. MS Now has not independently verified these allegations. Mr. Patel has denied all wrongdoing. He's now suing The Atlantic over this story, calling it malicious and defamatory.
I almost returned the best thing I've ever bought.
Got anything so far?
At the FBI, with the speculative odds on how quickly podcaster Kash Patel might be fired from that job, hinging somewhat on the question trying to open is, quote, a crystal clear example of a federal agency failing to comply with the law. The judge notes that the Trump administration lawyers in this case, quote, could not answer basic questions about the government's.
So what we're looking at, the reason I'm playing this is we can see that all these misfits that Trump dealing with, that he brought into the White House, is they being slowly disassembled. You heard anything about this?
No, sir. I haven't heard about Cash Patel drinking on the job and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And look at all the people that's being fired. And then it says the name of the video is Rachel Maddox Show 5. And it says MSNBC breaking news say May 23rd. That's the name of the video. And I mean, the name of the channel is Silver Screen Vibes. If you want to watch that, walk it down. Okay, so with that being said, this is my need to know information. Okay.
African roots, a simple swab, a few weeks of waiting, and finally, answers to centuries of questions erased by slavery. Reconnect with lost heritage. Find your tribe. Discover your true homeland. Companies promise definitive answers. Ancestry percentages broken down by region. Maps showing exactly where your ancestors came from. Simple, clear, scientific. But when researchers started analyzing ancient DNA from burial sites across the Americas, they found something that shattered those neat little ancestry boxes. The genetic signatures didn't match what anyone expected.
Okay.
Not the companies selling the tests, not the historians, not even the scientists running the studies. Skeletons from pre-colonial burial grounds in South America showed African genetic markers dating back thousands of years.
Let's go back.
Long before those
niggas,
neat little ancestry
Negro need to hear this again. Okay.
boxes.
Big mouth ass.
The genetic signatures didn't match what anyone expected. Not the companies selling the tests, not the historians, not even the scientists running the studies. Skeletons from pre-colonial burial grounds in South America showed African genetic markers dating back thousands of years, long before the transatlantic slave trade, long before Columbus, long before anyone thought Africans could have crossed the Atlantic. The DNA was there, undeniable, raising a question nobody wanted to ask out loud. If Africans were in the Americas before Europeans arrived, what does that mean for everything we've been told about Black American identity? The implications spread like cracks through concrete. If ancient Africans settled the Americas, then Black presence here isn't just about forced migration. It's about choice, about exploration, about technological capability that rewrites what we thought African civilizations were capable of. And it means the story of who Black Americans are goes back thousands of years deeper than anyone taught us. Before we go any further, if you want to understand how science keeps rewriting history, hit subscribe. I break down discoveries like this every week that challenge what we thought we knew. Now let's talk about what this DNA is actually telling us. For decades, the story of Black Americans began in 1619. That's when the first documented enslaved Africans arrived in Virginia. Every history textbook, every ancestry test, every conversation about Black identity in America pointed back to that moment. The narrative was clean. Africans were brought here against their will during the slave trade. Their descendants are Black Americans today. Simple, contained, historically tidy. But ancient DNA doesn't care about tidy narratives. In 2013, a team of geneticists led by Dr. Walter Neves at the University of São Paulo analyzed remains from a burial site in Lagoa Santa, Brazil, dating back over 11,000 years. They expected to find genetic markers consistent with indigenous populations that crossed the Bering Strait from Asia. That's the accepted theory. Humans migrated from Asia into the Americas around 15,000 years ago, spread south. And those became the native populations Europeans encountered. The DNA told a different story. The skulls showed distinct African cranial features. When they ran the genetic analysis using mitochondrial DNA and compared it against global databases, the markers didn't match Asian lineages. They matched populations from sub-Saharan Africa
Come on.
and Aboriginal Australia. These weren't outliers. The research team analyzed over 80 skulls from multiple burial sites across Brazil.
If you live in the United States, be prepared for this.
Repeated. The same African-linked cranial morphology, the same genetic signatures that didn't fit the Bering Strait migration model. The researchers published their findings in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The paper was peer-reviewed by geneticists and anthropologists from Harvard, Oxford, and the Max Planck Institute. It passed rigorous scientific scrutiny. And it created an immediate problem because it suggested that Africans didn't just arrive in the Americas during the slave trade. They were here long before that. Possibly as early settlers alongside or even before the groups we now call Native Americans. But Lagoa Santa wasn't the only site. In 2015, researchers examined skeletal remains from Spirit Cave in Nevada, one of the oldest burial sites in North America, dating back 10,600 years. The individual showed cranial features inconsistent with modern Native Americans. When genetic testing was finally permitted, the mitochondrial DNA revealed haplogroup B, which is found in Polynesian and some African populations, not in the typical Asian-derived haplogroups expected for early Americans. Then came Kennewick Man, discovered in Washington State in 1996. Dated to approximately 9,000 years old, his skeletal structure sparked immediate controversy. Forensic anthropologists noted his skull morphology resembled Polynesian or even African features more than Native American. When ancient DNA analysis was completed in 2015 and published in Nature, his genome showed he was more closely related to modern Native Americans than any other population. But his physical features remained unexplained. The DNA evidence kept accumulating. A 2018 study published in Science analyzed the genomes of 49 ancient individuals from Central and South America spanning 10,000 years. The research team found genetic signatures that couldn't be explained by a single migration from Siberia through the Bering Strait. The data suggested at least 4 distinct ancestral populations contributed to the genetic diversity of early Americans. One of those populations carried markers linking them to African and Australo-Melanesian groups. British colonizers discovered the massive stone ruins. They refused to believe Black Africans could have built such an advanced civilization. They attributed it to Phoenicians, Arabs, anyone but the Shona people who actually built it. It took decades of archaeological evidence to overcome that racist assumption. So the hesitation to embrace African Olmec connections is understandable. The last thing indigenous scholars want is another wave of theories that strip their ancestors of credit for their own achievements. But here's the difference. The DNA evidence for ancient African presence in the Americas doesn't come from colonial scholars trying to explain away indigenous achievement. It comes from genetic research conducted by international teams using cutting-edge science. It's not a theory invented to make sense of pyramids or sculptures. It's empirical data that exists independent of any interpretation. And accepting that Africans were present in ancient America doesn't diminish indigenous achievement. It expands it. It suggests that the civilizations of the Americas were even more cosmopolitan, more interconnected, more globally engaged than anyone thought. It means ancient Americans weren't isolated. They were part of a global network of trade, migration, and cultural exchange that spanned oceans. And there's more evidence. Olmec sites have yielded tobacco and cocaine residues. Tobacco is native to the Americas, but certain varieties found in Olmec contexts are genetically closer to African species. Cocaine is South American, but traces have been found in Egyptian mummies, suggesting transoceanic trade existed even if historians haven't acknowledged it. Then there's botanical evidence. African bottle gourds have been found in sites across the Americas dating back over 8,000 years. These gourds don't float well enough to drift naturally. Someone had to bring them. Cotton is another puzzle. The cotton in pre-Columbian America is a hybrid of Old World and New World cotton. Geneticists confirmed it contains DNA from African cotton species. The hybridization happened so long ago it predates any known human contact. This is where commercial DNA testing companies run into serious problems. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA use reference populations to assign ancestry. Those reference populations are based on modern samples from people living in specific regions today. If your DNA matches people in Senegal, the algorithm assigns you Senegalese ancestry. Seems straightforward, but those reference populations only go back a few hundred years at most. They represent where people live now, not where their ancestors lived 10,000 years ago. The United Nations defines indigenous peoples as those who have historical continuity with pre-colonial societies, distinct cultural practices, and a determination to maintain ancestral environments. By that definition, most Black Americans don't qualify. The cultural continuity was broken by slavery. The languages, religions, and social structures of their African ancestors were systematically destroyed. What emerged was something new, a uniquely African American culture, but not one with unbroken ties to a specific pre-colonial society. However, some argue that the very concept of indigenous identity in the Americas is colonial. It's a category imposed by European legal systems to determine who has rights to land and resources. Before colonization, there was no single indigenous identity. There were thousands of distinct nations, each with their own languages, cultures, and territories.
Okay, what you get out of that?
Brother Leonard, I was gonna ask you what you were looking at in that, and then I was gonna comment on it.
Yeah, well, my thing is two things that I'm tired of hearing and dealing with, and understanding where we at in the end times.
Right.
JC, the lie about JC, and the lie that we indigenous of this place.
Exactly.
So the only thing I come across that's gonna stick a sock in these Negroes' mouth, I'm gonna bring it out.
Right, yes, sir. And not being Native Americans, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's showing you right here, they doing, that's the purpose of this technology coming out now. A lot of hosts are using it, and it's showing you exactly, you can talk loud all you want, but they coming with the information, and they're tracking the DNA, and it ain't from here. Like I said, the reason I deal with Daniel chapter 9, verse 25, they said, the Christian said that's JC. In Daniel 9:25, and it's beyond a shadow of a doubt, it ain't none of him. So you got to throw that whole situation out. That's when he's supposed to came on the scene. And it ain't none of him. It's a lie. Just like right here, the man telling you, these people ain't come from here. You got the story. We know the Indian came across the Bering Strait, like they said. I did a video on that. They can trace the Indian DNA. He comes from over there through Turkish origin. He came here, and these so-called, they talking about the Indian, the black Indian, they came from Africa. They ain't indigenous here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how they get here? Come on, it's crazy. And you can't move forward with the truth because you holding on to a bullshit ass lie. Okay?
Right.
And holding other people up. Because you got a little vocal skills. You're able to convince people that, and the shit ain't hitting on nothing. Okay? So yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions, any comments, any dialogue, testimony, anything they want to bring up they heard on this channel?
Yes, sir. Brother Leonard, I was watching a channel earlier, and they were saying that nobody's coming to save us, right? And
Right.
just what do you think about that?
Well, we in the beginning, and the Yahweh, when you understand what happened, he got a system in place, a divine system in place, a divine council. He created these seven angels in the very beginning, and they do all this bidding for him. And when you understand that, and you get that into your psychic and understand how that was set up, you start to see the Most High, uh, uh, well, I said Elohim. They call him Yahweh Elohim, but these seven angels are Elohim, and they the ones that have been maneuvering and constructing everything all the way to this day. That's who's going to deliver us. That's who came and delivered us out of Egypt. That's who came and delivered us out of Babylon. That's who been protecting us up until this point. The reason why we supposed to be dissolved as a people, but the Most High got this divine counsel that protects us from that, keep us from being extinct, because He got a purpose for us.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then, Brother Leonard, I had another question where not I forgot to mark down which chapter, but you were talking about the trees the other day, right?
Right.
You know how the Old Testament refers to the angels as trees and sometimes the giants too, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, because I think it was about when Gideon's sons, I mean when Gideon died, and then that son that killed the other 70 kids or whatever, and
Right.
I remember it saying in there like the oaks said to the oaks or something like that.
Right. Right. Well, a good example of that is Zechariah. You go to Zechariah chapter. Go to Zechariah chapter 3. I think it is. I'll go with you. Okay. They turned around and flipped the understanding of that in the Revelations with they, let's look at it. So Zechariah,
Is the two olive trees, Brother Leonard, or not that one?
no, chapter 6. Read chapter 6, all of it. You ain't know, but well, you do chapter 6, 1 through 8.
1 through 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, and I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. In the first chariot were red horses, in the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot gristle and bay horses. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go to and fro from standing before the Lord of the whole earth. The black horses, which are therein, go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the gristle go forth toward the south country. And the bay went forth and sought to go that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. Then cried he upon me and spake unto me, saying, behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country.
Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking I'm in the wrong place, man. But that's like I was saying. That's where they get the four horsemen from, right there. But I'm looking
Oh,
at something else.
right from Revelation.
Right. Yeah. It's I'm thinking it's crazy, man. Uh, yeah. Here you go. Yeah. Chapter 1. Start at 8.
1 verse 8. Oh, page.
Zechariah 1 and 8.
Berlin, I need 1 second. That my page ripped right there. I
Yeah, I
gotta
got it. I'll read it. It
okay.
says, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees. They were in the bottom, and behind him were their red horses, speckled and white. Then said I, O my Lord, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, so it's an angel, right?
Right.
So he just as tall as the trees is. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, these are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro in the earth. We know who that is, right?
Right.
7 angels. And
Mm-hmm.
they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts. You see that?
Right.
The Lord
Mm-hmm.
of hosts is there. This is the divine council you're dealing with. But they're amongst these trees. They're just as tall as the trees is.
Mm.
Says, and they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest. Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts. You see that?
Right.
12. The angel of the Lord answered and said unto the Lord of hosts. So the angel of the Lord and the Lord of hosts to them. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
So what's happening? The Lord of hosts is commanding these angels of the Lord. It's
Right.
6 of them. See
Mm-hmm.
that?
Right. Sir.
Lord of hosts, how long will thou have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast indignation these 70 years? See that? What's 70?
70
What that apply to?
to Babylon.
Being in Babylon for 70 years.
Right.
So who's all in charge watching over there? Lord of hosts, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the Lord answered. Lord of hosts answered. The Lord of hosts answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts. See that? Cry thou, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous. So the Lord of hosts is jealous, not Yahweh,
Mm.
not Jesus. I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with great jealousy. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they hope on forward the affliction. Yeah,
Right.
okay. So, and like I say, a lot of people look over that. And then what you were saying about how these Nephilim, these giants, is being compared with the trees too, is when they came to Abraham in Genesis 18. Where was Abraham? Where was Abraham at?
In the plains of Mamre.
Oaks,
Right. Right. By
Oaks
the
and Mamre. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Ain't
Okay.
that something?
Right, yes, sir. And brother Leonard, where we just read right here in Zechariah
Mm-hmm.
1, I didn't never understand verse 11 like that. So that make a lot of sense where it say, "And the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees."
Right,
Yeah, that make a lot more sense now.
exactly. Let's go back to what I was telling you about. Let me show it up to you because we got time. So it's if you go to Daniel 10, right quick,
Okay.
okay, and this way so many people going. It killed JC, but you know the average Negro he ain't gonna, yeah, he ain't gonna deal with it. So and in Daniel chapter 10, and it says, like I said, 7 of them. That's who Elohim is. They got the wrong understanding of what Elohim is. Okay, so I'm in 10. Okay, it says now, this is when Gabriel came to Daniel, right? I'm gonna start at 12. Daniel 10 and 12 says, then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before the Lord thy God. So the God is Michael. Thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. So when 21 days, when he first prayed, Michael sent Gabriel. That's what's going on. Just like we just read. The angel of the Lord talking to Michael, the Lord of hosts. So 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 120 days. But lo, Michael, and then here go the trickeration. Michael, one of the chief prince. No, he deep chief prince. Daniel 12 tell you that. But it says Michael, one of the chief prince. See that? So they marginalizing him, degrading him. Michael, one of the chief prince, came to help me and remained there with the kings of Persia. And then 14, now I am come to make thee understand what shall uh, befall the people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. So Michael is in his role. This is why the Lord of hosts, Gabriel's in his role. This is why Michael sent him. He's the angel of understanding. So he says in 14, I am come to make thee understand. That's why he sent him. That's his role. To make thee understand what shall be is the last end of indignation for yet a little while, for yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken unto me, check it out. When he had spoken unto such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground and became dumb. Right? So we went limp because we can't touch them. We're gonna follow him. So 16, and behold, one, here come another one. This is what they're not getting. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men. This take you back to Genesis 1:26. Let us make man, the Elohim. Okay, so he says, and when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth, and I spake, and I said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision, my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. So now we see Gabriel and Cain. Now another angel and came right here. And then we get to 17. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remain no strength in me, neither is there any breath left in me. Then here goes another one. Then there came again and touched me, one with the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee, and be strong, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened. So he came to strengthen him. Gabriel came to give him understanding. So he strengthened me, right? And said, let my Lord speak, and thou strengthen me. Then said he, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia and when I have gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. So how is he able to tell him all this? 21. But I will show thee that which is written in the scriptures of truth. That's the book. Now watch what I read 14. Now I am come to make thee understand. So how does he have the ability to make him understand? 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. So this is why Michael sent Gabriel. He's looking on the book, on him, and Gabriel looking on the book. And he sent, because he over Gabriel, he sent Gabriel to go make Daniel understand. But you got these other 6 with him. So let's go to one more place, then we'll get back over where we was at. So then it says, you go to 7, I'm in the book of Daniel. So Daniel had a vision right here, right? It says, chapter 8. Daniel had the same thing going on in 10 is over here in Daniel 8. It says, verse 13. Then I heard once, okay, no, it says, and he said unto me, let me go back to another verse over Daniel 7. So it says, asking 13, Daniel 7 and 13. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, came with the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near unto me, and there was given him dominion and glory and kingdom, that all people, nations, languages should serve him, and dominion and an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away. Okay. Yeah, so now he had a vision right here. Right? He had a vision. Now 13, they knew, unlike we do, but they knew that when they get a vision, all they gotta do is wait. And the angel gonna show up, because the angel gonna show up as an order in heaven. You're gonna, just like if one came and gave him the vision, one gonna come and tell him, gonna come and break the vision down. So he just had a vision. Now we in 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision that he just had of my head troubled me. Now watch this. I came near unto one of them that stood by. So it's 7 of them there. Like I said, who see that? You're not gonna see that unless you done dealt with the book of Enoch. These clowns and got you where you ain't. You think the book of Enoch is subpar. Read it again. 16. He just had a vision. He laying there. His head, he weak. And his trouble in his head. He just had a vision. But he wants the understanding of it. I came near unto one of them that stood by. One of them that stood by, and asked the truth of this. So he made me to know the interpretation of the things. See that? So go back to what I just showed you. One came, told him, I came to make you understand that he was weak. And one came, strengthened him. Another one came. Then Gabriel came and broke the thing down and told him that me and Michael are the only one looking on the book. It ain't just no one. Like I said, there ain't no Yah alone, Yah only. These angels all over the place. Elohim. Okay? See that?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, you can't help but see it. So when you reject it, yeah, you're already in trouble right there, because it's right there in your face. Ain't no Yah on it. He ain't by itself. Like we see in Ezekiel chapter 1. When the cloud came, it's he in the cloud, there's 4 other beings in the cloud. He ain't by himself. See, don't give a damn if it's a duck. He ain't by himself. Just like I can go to a winter roast with my little daughter. I ain't by myself. She may be insignificant, but I ain't by myself. So I can't say no Yah only or me only. That's nonsense.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so yeah, I got a sidebar there for a minute. But anyway, where we at? We had questions, Q&A, right?
Right, yes, sir. Just finished up.
You got any other question?
No, sir.
Okay, let me play this right quick. because I mean, and like I said, I try to stick to this right here because this is something that's in the makings. Any day, we're gonna, like I say, what the Lord host does, prophecies he got, they overtaking us, contrary to if you know or not. So we in the midst of being taken over by a bunch of prophecies and don't even understand it. Check it out.
Watch what alcohol does to.
Okay, let me get this.
Inflation is under control. The economy is strong, but for millions of people, it doesn't feel that way at all. Grocery prices are sky high. Insurance costs are soaring.
And like I said, how did he move us? How did they get into Egypt during the time of Joseph? A famine. Okay, how did Abraham end up down in Gerar? A famine. How did Isaac end up in Gerar? Famine. That's how he moved us. Well, it's hammer time. He's getting ready to move us the same way he moved us in the past.
Americans are now carrying massive amounts of credit card debt. New report out this week showing delinquencies up to an all-time high. Families are increasingly relying on debt just to keep up with everyday living expenses. At the same time, investors right now are watching precious metals markets closely as concerns continue to grow over inflation, the weakening purchasing power of the U.S. dollar. Hell, Alaska just became the latest state to now allow gold and silver as a legal tender in that state, moving away from, even U.S. states are moving away from the U.S. dollar. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve appears trapped between trying to fight inflation right now and this latest report about credit card delinquencies. The percent of balance 90 plus days delinquent by loan type, and you can see credit cards now skyrocketing to an all-time high for delinquencies. People just putting like basic necessities on their credit cards.
Yeah, this is the same thing we saw back in tops of markets. 1999, 2000, you saw credit card debt skyrocketing, delinquencies were skyrocketing. 2007 going into 2008, same type of thing. I think this one's a lot worse because you have the inflation part, higher interest rates, higher mortgage costs, car payments, things like that. And, there was a great story. Well, I don't know, it was a great story, but it was a story about people having to buy now, pay later, even for groceries. So you're right. They're putting it on their credit cards. They're going down to the store, buying what they need now, and then having to pay it off over 3 or 4 or 5 payments.
Right. So how long you think that's going to last? Okay, well, check it out.
Assets that would be, a great hedge against what's coming.
Yeah, when you sent that to me, that's shocking. I mean, again, I think it kind of goes with like the Warren Buffett message as well, sitting on cash right now. And we had the person I was thinking of, we had Ronald Reagan's former financial advisor on this week on a show, brilliant, Steve Hanke, and he said, own gold and silver right now. Watch what these central banks are doing right now to protect your family. One of his big things is, though, these tariffs have been absolutely devastating, and hopes that they'll be reversed soon. He's not the only one. No,
they're gonna be
for the world's reserve currency. The debt looked like a hockey stick. It started off okay, and then you look at from 2008 at $8 trillion, and today where we are at $39 trillion. That's the hockey stick, and people are getting extremely nervous.
So like I said before, this ain't no happenstance. What you see happening, the same thing happened in Egypt. In Babylon, the Negroes weren't gonna leave. So he's running them out. I don't know how many times I got to say that. He's running them out of here because, like I said, we're looking at the narrative. These Negroes think they from here. Okay? So he's running them out. Okay? So anybody got a feedback on
that? Shalom, Brother Leonard. I just see that happening, like from the clips, and then, I mean, even in real life, the other clip, one of the clips you played last week about layoffs, I've been seeing those happening even since 2020, just seeing that happen at my jobs and things like that, so
exactly.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is, like I said, like right now, if you've been overtaken by the prophecy that's in Isaiah chapter 1, chapter 44, 1-5, you're gonna pour the spirit out on them. Why the hell would you be worrying about voting? You know what I'm saying? Voting, that's a Ponzi scheme.
Mhm.
Just like income tax. Everything we did in JC, he a damn Ponzi scheme. And these Negroes, like I say, you can sit back and see who the most high and pull the spirit out on and who ain't. So if we see, looking at we in the last days, why is you worrying about voting? Okay, and then why you worrying about a nut bucket like Clarence Thomas? We in the last days. Come on, man.
Right.
We're on our way out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's like me. That's like Moses in Egypt worrying about Cleopatra. Come on.
Right.
You hear me?
Yeah.
So it's good. Or like I say, when the flood came, you sitting there worrying about what your house when the Most High done took the time out to show Noah the flood coming. Why you worrying about the house? Come on.
Right.
In the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, so here go my topic for discussion right here. I thought this was pretty interesting. Let me play this. Okay. Yeah, it's big. It's big up on the on my radar. Kick it out. We're gonna let her do her thing.
We need to talk. So I am really taking note of a lot of people. I've always been a people observer, but of course now that my spiritual eyes are open, I'm not just seeing these people through my natural eyes.
A lot of Negroes need to do that.
And it's becoming more and more apparent that a lot of the people that's walking the face of this earth, they're not human. They're not human. Now, I know that you all have heard the term mankind, right? There's a reason why that term surfaced.
Right. Jewish.
Mankind is kind of like a man, but not quite, right? So today, well, this is not just today, but today is actually what caused me to create this particular message. I went to a grocery store. Now, in the area that I'm currently living in, because you all know I've been out here for a year now, okay? It's just something very different. In certain regions, you go into the store. So today I went into the grocery store and I was looking around, just to get the things that I needed, but I noticed a lot of people were staring at me, right? Some of them was blankly staring, others were just like, almost as if I did not belong there. Now, mind you, in this particular area, at that particular grocery store, you don't see a lot of people that look like me as a melanated woman. But then on top of that, yes, I do know that I adorn myself in a particular way that makes me stand out. So I'm not surprised at that. But it's a different type of feel is what I'm picking up when it comes to the looks. It's almost like, why are you amongst us? But they're not. First of all, y'all know I worked in healthcare for a significant period of time. And I did do a lot of psych. When I worked as a registered nurse, I also did psych nursing. And I noticed that there were certain traits that, some of the patients would carry. One thing that I did notice is that if a person does not swing their arms when they walk, something wrong. Okay? I'm going to just put y'all on.
Okay.
If a person does not swing their arms when they walk, something is wrong. Now, I'm noticing just the posture of a lot of these people in this grocery store, their mannerisms. And at one particular point, I was just kind of going through my items in my cart as I waited in line. And, you could feel somebody looking at you. So I happened to look up and there was this man, European man. He had his overalls on, right? And he was just, and so when I looked up, he quickly looked away. The weirdest thing, right? And he was also amongst the rest, where I'm just looking like, what am I surrounded by? Even the people that work, not all the people that work there, okay? I did meet one nice lady that actually, oh gosh, listen, y'all. Many of the people that work there, something is off. And I'm gonna tell y'all what I am speculating here, right? This is what my spiritual team has told me. I would love to hear your feedback out there and if you are noticing the same thing. So as we all know, this current system, the current structure is dying. The beast of Babylon is dying, okay? Why? Because many of the chosen seed, we've withdrawn our energy, okay? I told you all a long time ago, I was given a visual of a beast and a whole bunch of cords, and those cords were spiritual cords attached to a lot of people who have souls, right? The chosen seed. And that cord was actually like an umbilical cord to this beast that was feeding the beast, like it was siphoning the energy, siphoning our energy. Especially as long as we stayed in low vibrational energy, that cord would remain. But the moment that we woke up and made a conscious decision to release a lot of unhealthy patterns, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy thoughts and traumas and things of that nature, that cord breaks, especially when you're doing generational curse breaking. That cord can no longer remain.
JC, one of the cords. New Testament, one of the cords. Okay.
And so the very source that the beast of Babylon fed on is practically non-existent, because many of the chosen have awakened and see the importance of cutting these cords to the beast of Babylon, right? So with that being said, a lot of the energy that beast was siphoning, I hope that I wasn't covering the mic, y'all. A lot of the energy that beast was siphoning was being distributed to the NPCs, the zombies, the ones that will be considered mankind, right? Whatever these beings are, a lot of that divine energy that would make you human was actually being siphoned and redistributed to the beings that are not human. So imagine now that beast is no longer feeding on the majority of the chosen, because there's still some chosen seed that's wiping the crust out of their eyes, okay? There's still some chosen seed that's very much so resistant to the truths that's being revealed to them, right? Because there's fear of being judged, there's fear of having to take the narrow pathway. There's a lot of sacrifice that comes with taking a narrow pathway. And
okay, is this making any sense to you?
A little bit, yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna play a little more.
Many people just ain't ready for it. But there are a whole lot of chosen seed, enough chosen seed that have withdrawn from the beast of Babylon to the point where it is dying. That spark, that soul, that divine energy, that generating energy that we have because of our connection to the Most High Mother and Father is no longer being fed to the beast. I'm also picking up that this is why it is so vital for those who are human beings to come into some form of enlightenment. Now, do I feel that all humans are chosen? No. No, I do not. But they play a vital role in the overall survival of humanity, okay? But not all humans are chosen. So there will be, the awakening is necessary for every human being. Mankind, no. No, because they are empty, literally empty vessels. And so because mankind, because they are empty vessels, regardless of what knowledge they receive, application will always lack. And they will always take knowledge and pervert it.
Appreciate that, AJ.
Because there's no soul in them that would compel them to use that knowledge for the highest good of humanity.
Okay, so the name of that is They not like us. They can't be human. You got any feedback on that?
So, Shalom, yes, sir. I can see, she might not study like the Hebrew scriptures. So, but this kind of what I hear in the, what they call the conscious community. Like they know there's something different about, the Gentiles, but not necessarily, the origin of them.
Right, like they don't know what we know.
Right.
But
Yes, sir.
they know they not. We ain't all the same.
And like she said though, I thought it was interesting how she mentioned, just observing when you're in the grocery store, like she
Right,
said.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Is that something?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So my thing was, like I said, I've been talking about it, or especially going to Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 52 about the suffering servant. I'm switching gears. So the suffering servant is how they telling us that JC the suffering servant, right? So one of the things that dawned on me in the fact that okay, you go to the New Testament, you see how they even blew JC up. But if you go back to the Old Testament, I was shown the order. Yahweh is his creator. The Lord of hosts is Michael, the second in charge. Those are who's there in the beginning in Genesis 1 and chapter 1, verse 1 is Yahweh. Chapter 2, the Spirit of God, the angel of the Lord is there. That's Michael. And then we know who the Messiah is. David, right? So let's look at that. We got Yahweh, Michael, David. But JC, all the focus on JC. He's neither one of these three, but they say he the suffering servant. Just let that permeate. Okay. So you would believe he the suffering servant if you don't understand who these other three are. That Michael, David is the Messiah, and Michael is the Lord of hosts, and Yahweh is the creator, the self-existent one. So where he come from? How you come up with the idea that he the suffering servant? Okay, so anyway, that was one of the things, one of the nuggets I had, and the other one is let's go look at it right quick. It's crazy. So you go to Numbers chapter 18. Like I say, you can't get this here. You need to go down to Starbucks and just sit there and drink your latte. But check it out. So I'm in Numbers. Let me get it. 18. So we're gonna see right here who the suffering servant is. It says, and the Lord, I'm in chapter 18. The Lord said unto Aaron, okay, if you don't know who Aaron is, Aaron got the Most High got a covenant with Aaron that the high priest in Jerusalem is always going to be out of Aaron's lineage. And he got a covenant with David that the king in Israel will always be out of David's lineage. If that king not out of David's lineage or that high priest not out of Aaron's lineage, there's a problem. Okay? So the Lord said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee. So here we go. This is going to bear iniquity right here. And the Lord said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary, the temple. So this is bearing iniquity right here. Now watch this. We're going to keep reading. Thou and thy sons with thee shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood. Verse 2. And thy brethren also of the tribe of Levi and the tribe of thy father bring thou with thee, that they may be joined unto thee and minister unto thee, but thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. So we see right here, the Levites and the priesthood, Aaron being their father, this is the southern servant. This the own. That's when you first start reading Isaiah 53, leading up to from 52, 13, 14, 15, This who the suffering servant is, the arm. Who is the arm of the law revealed to? Right here. Numbers 18. Aaron and the Levites. But I want to show you something else. And then I mentioned, he says, when you understand who the Lord of hosts is, he says, thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. This is why he said this. So these priests, these Levites and these priests are the witnesses who the Lord of hosts is, right? So this is why he said this right here in Isaiah. Let me go to it right quick because I don't want to get off of Numbers. 43 and 10. This ain't, like I say, this ain't Yahweh talking. And the damn sure ain't Jesus. So it says 10. Ye are my witnesses. This is the Lord of hosts, Michael. Ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, and my servant. Here goes the servant right here, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand. Oh, let me go back up. Yeah. Ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. So that takes you to the tabernacle of witness inside the temple. That's why he took the Levites from among the Israelites. All these are signs to show you who the suffering servant is. He brought them into the temple. They witnesses. They in the temple. They witnessing him. When they have the three feast days every year, they witnessing him. That's why David says he can't wait to get to the feast days when he see the Lord. So this priesthood and these Levites, they're the suffering servant. But let's look at it. Let's keep going. I'm in chapter 18. And this, like I said, verse 3, it's the dagger. And they shall keep, look at this, they shall keep thy charge and the charge of all the tabernacle. Only they shall not come nigh to the vessels of the sanctuary. So the Levites can't come nigh to the things that's in the Holy of Holies because it's the priesthood. Aaron's lineage. So he says, come nigh to the vessels of the sanctuary after the altar. That neither they, check it out, that neither they nor are ye also shall die. So this is gonna die right here. And then, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So he says, if they sin, they're gonna die. But they didn't flip it around and said, JC ain't never sinned, and he had to come and die for everybody else. But the suffering servant, if he don't do right, he gonna die. They didn't flip it around. That's the difference in these Levites, the real servant, the arm of the Most High, than JC. They got to keep the charge. And if they don't keep the charge, they die. But JC is a whole nother animal. You can see how they concocted him. You see that? Verse 3. And they shall keep the charge and the charge of the tabernacle, only they shall not come nigh to the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, neither neither they nor ye also shall die. So if they don't keep the charge, this how they became the suffering servant. If they don't keep the charge, they don't lead the Israelites right, they're gonna die. It ain't got nothing to do with what they didn't put on JC. This is the suffering servant. If they don't do right, they don't lead the Most High people right, they're gonna die. Not no cat of nine tails. And so you say, what are you talking about? Look at what's his name? Two sons. I can't think of his name. His two sons that that was in the Phineas, Hobbius and Phineas, when they brought the strange fire into the temple. They didn't do right. He killed them. That's a suffering servant.
Mm.
You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
They killed it. That's what they've done to us, man. Go ahead. What you say?
Was that Aaron's sons, Brother Leonard?
I wasn't Aaron's son. I can't think his name. I just watched the AI video on that. can't think his name. The guy, he fell over backwards. The Most High killed him too. Let's look at it right here. And that it's in Samuel. Let me get it right quick. I don't want to leave nobody hanging. Okay, so if you go to Samuel, you can see, go to I think it's 1, chapter 1, when Samuel was born. Okay. Okay, so it says Eli, that's his name. Eli's sons.
Okay,
So,
right.
so when Eli's sons didn't do right, what we just read, they didn't do right, he killed them. So it ain't about being born and sinless. It's just these Negroes don't do right because of who they are. They're the servants in the temple. If they don't do right, they die. Not you coming and you got to die for all the sins of Israel. Come on.
Right.
Let that firmate. Come on. Okay. So I thought I want to shine light on that. You got anything else on that?
And just Brother Leonard, the typology in that from it being a group of people to, well, it's whoever the high priest are, but it being a group of people to making it JC, just that in itself is wicked. But even changing it from anything else from what it's originally saying, like
Right.
broke it down what it is. So
Right.
that's wicked.
Right. So like I was saying, look at the understanding of Elohim. If you don't understand what the Elohim is, look where you at. You are all over the damn place. You don't understand what Elohim is. The same thing with this. If you don't understand who the self-servant is, you're all over the place. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You falling backwards in the dark. I'm gonna try to find this right quick. I'm hoping about the arm. Show you what I mean by understanding who the arm. When you understand who the arm is, I'm in Psalms 89. I think it is Psalms 89. Let me get it. It says, and this is the I just mentioned that David is the Messiah. So if you can't read Psalms 89 and see that David is the Messiah, is the problem. So anyway, he says that. Let me see if I'm gonna read up on it. I'm gonna start at Psalms 89, verse 20. I have found David, my servant, with my holy oil, right there. Just that precept there, gonna kill JC. I have found David, my servant, with my holy oil have I anointed him. See that JC wasn't anointed. With whom my hands shall establish. Now here you go, right? I ran right up on it. I start again, 20. I have found David, my servant, with my holy oil have I anointed him, right? So David the Messiah. Now, and the Lord of hosts talking. The Most High, right hand man. 21. With whom my hand, his hand, shall be established, my arm also shall strengthen him. So what's his arm? Priesthood, the Levites, Aaron's seed.
Come on. Okay.
But if you don't understand what the arm is, you all down the street, and like I said, you all down in Starbucks and Walmart. Don't know what the hell you're talking about. Come on. You see that?
Right, yes, sir. And that makes sense.
Right. So the brother said that but James said that those 7 angels you gave him doesn't have Remiel name in it.
And
it's meant, like I was saying, when you understand what these people have done, we know in the book of Enoch chapter 20, it's got 6 angels in there. And one of those 7 angels is missing out of that book. And like I say, when you understand who these people are, everything is done for a reason.
Right.
But we know the 4 is it's 7 angels, and they interchange the listing of the seven, but we know that when they looked down from heaven in the book of Enoch, we know when they came down with Noah's Ark, it was 4 angels. We know in Ezekiel chapter 1, it's 4 angels. But who them 4 angels is? In order: Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. So, and like I said, that is, when you understand that, he ain't by himself. We see in Ezekiel chapter 1 when they told him the throne, he ain't by himself. And then you say, what you talking about? Well, hell, that's why Artaxerxes, if you go watch the movie The 300, look at the big ass throne Artaxerxes got. He ain't by himself. He got a whole bunch of Negroes toting the throne. The same way with Yahweh. Where they get it from? What Nebuchadnezzar saw. And what Ezekiel saw, he told you, yeah, he on the throne. It's a throne, and these angels, these 4 angels, they are toting the throne. He being transported everywhere on top of this throne. These angels. So you'd be crazy as hell to say I'm by myself. Come on, he ain't by himself.
Right.
So, like I said, when you understand what they've done, when they say we, just like in Genesis 1:26, we looked down and saw what the men was doing, what the people was doing at the Tower of Babel. Who was that? Who was the we? These 4 angels. Gabriel, what they purpose? To go to and fro in the earth. Not Yahweh, the Elohim. They go to and fro in the whole earth. Let me read that right quick. And so, like I said before, you're going to be forever falling down the backwards if you don't understand that. So, I'm in Zechariah, back in Zechariah, chapter 4. Okay, let me get it right quick. Zechariah chapter 4 says, verse 10, for whoever despises the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro in the whole earth. So when you understand that, in the process of them running to and fro in the whole earth, they seen what these Negroes was doing at the Tower of Babel. In the process of running to and fro in the earth, they seen what was going on with Noah. They seen what was the captivity of the Israelites in Egypt. Not Yahweh, and JC ain't nowhere to be found. He tits on a bull. Okay. Okay, you got anything else on that?
And Brother Leonard, when just in Psalms 52,
Yeah.
in 13, 14, and 15, when when that was brought to my attention, then I'm like, oh man, because I've always just go straight to Isaiah 53. But that when you always bring that up, when you talk about the vestige, his
Right.
vestige was marked, and then it's broken down the garments and all of that. I mean, it helps you understand. You actually search it out.
Exactly, and it ain't nothing new under the sun, because we got a wholesale example in Zechariah when they was taken to Babylon for 70 years. So these Chaldeans, they not only did they take the gold ornaments and the gold cups and all that to Babylon, they take the garments too. That their friend made. Ain't the garments part of the temple?
Right. Yes, sir.
So these priests and these Levites, they ain't gone. The Most High watching over there. He's watching over the priesthood, and he's watching over David's lineage. So he says, after 70 years, they came back. And then we see how they got in their positions and they put on their garments and got back. And then, so what are you doing? You go to Zechariah chapter 3. Let's let me read that right quick. You can see it. And then, like I said, you can't see that. You know, you need to get, get some roller skates. But so look at this. I'm in Zechariah again. Okay? And watch this. So let me get it. Zechariah chapter 3. Okay, so here you go. So they've been in Babylon. This is same thing you reading in Isaiah 52, 13, 14, and 15. It ain't JC. You got to do something with him. So it says, chapter 3, he showed me Joshua, the high priest, Aaron lineage, standing before the angel of the Lord. There go the angel. JC ain't no angel. And Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuked thee, O Satan, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem. See that? This angel chosen Jerusalem. Well, come on. Yeah, not Yahweh, not Jesus. The angel is one that dwell in Jerusalem. So he says, the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuked thee, O Satan, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Right? Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment and stood before the angel. Go to Isaiah 52, 13, 14, 15. He got on a ragged ass garment. This garment marred. Right? Now, 4. And he answered and spake unto those that stood by. They go to other 6. They there, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. And unto him he said, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. He's doing exactly what they do, what's going to happen. But Isaiah 52 telling you, that was only 70 years. We've been dislocated and mutilated and abused for at least 2,500 years. So he know where the priesthood is. He's gonna do the same thing. Their garments so marred. His own. And he got to do the same thing right here. What are you doing with Joshua after when they left Jerusalem to come back to Judea to rebuild the temple? He can't be in the temple with a ragged ass garment on. Come on.
Right.
Chapter 3 is the exact same thing over there in Isaiah 52, 13, 14, 15. Like I say, in Isaiah 44, he said he's going to pour his spirit out on the Israelites, on the seed in these last days. So you can't see that where he ain't pour the spirit out on you. You pour Kool-Aid on you. Okay? So with that being said, you got anything else before we go? You want to pick a script? You picked the script already?
Oh, no, no, sir.
Okay. You pick the scripture, folks, and as we normally do, then we'll close out.
All right. And Brother Leonard, can I go to this is Enoch 62.
Okay.
Enoch 62 and 16.
Okay.
And so it says hold on now. All right. And so it says, and these will be the garments of life before the Lord of the spirits, and your garments will not become old, and your glory will not decrease before the Lord of the spirits. And Shalom, that was Enoch 62 and 16. But Brother Leonard, I was trying to pull it up so I could read more of it. But I had read this one because you were just talking about their garments. And
right.
in this one, it was alluding to that as well.
Right. And so what you have to understand is these 7 angels that we talking about, and all the rest, the mildreds too, but specifically is these 7 angels, is they going to and fro on the whole earth? Is they going to and fro on the whole earth naked?
Right. No, sir.
They got garments on.
Right.
As above, so below. They got garments on, and they describe what kind of garment David had on when he brought the ark into Jerusalem. Linen, just like the man in Daniel chapter 10. That's how we know it ain't none of Yahweh. It's Michael. Ezekiel chapter 1 shows you Yahweh, he'll consuming fire. You can't put no damn garment on fire. So these 7 angels got girdles. The priesthood got the same. They girded about with golden girdles just like the damn these 7 angels is. They got, like I said, they got afros. Same way describing the man in Daniel chapter 10. They burnished brass skin. Girded about with a golden girdle, got afro, red eyes. Come on, man. And like I said, it's too late in the game. If if you ain't at least grabbed a hold to this, then you falling backwards in the dark. You calling JC, you calling Yahweh Elohim. Shit. Come on.
Right, then you mistaken, right? And
yeah.
Yes, and Brother Leonard, I just if I could read all of that precept, I couldn't find it in my actual book of Enoch. I was on my phone, but it says just verses 22 through 26 in it's Enoch 62, and it says, "And the Lord of spirits will abide over them with that Son of Man shall they eat and lie down and rise up forever, and the righteous and elect shall have risen from the earth and ceased to be of downcast countenance, and they shall have been clothed with garments of glory, and these shall be the garments of life from the Lord of spirits, and your garments shall not grow old, nor your glory pass away before the Lord of spirits."
Okay, so
Right, yes, sir. And that and Brother Leonard, I was thinking about when we was reading one time when they was talking when they walked through the wilderness, they clothes didn't get
right, exactly.
Old then, right?
Right, exactly. So look at that. Look at, like I said, as above, so below. I showed you how the fine linen that that Israel dealt with. The priests and the Levites, David, see, they got on fine linen, and we know these angels. They get it the same way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you can't. You know what I mean? You have to understand that.
Mm.
So it ain't no. That's when you see a Caucasian with red hair, like they got JC, red hair, green eyes, with a linen garment on. Come on, man. Not a joke. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shit, come on, man. He's trying to deal with this, come on. That's the same with what they did in Egypt with the 29th dynasty. They got these Caucasians running around with dreadlocks in their head.
Right, come on.
Come on. That's what gonna happen to us. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. We have our evening Shabbat class where we close out the Shabbat every Saturday evening. It starts about 6 and normally lasts about an hour or so. Unless we get hot, we might go 2 hours. But other than that, it's about an hour or so before we close the Shabbat out. And then we come back on Sunday with our evening Sabbath, our advanced Sunday advanced Bible study, and that's at 5 p.m. Central Time. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody this evening to close out the Shabbat. Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.